Hello, everybody. We want to welcome you to First Coast News at 6:30. I'm Jeannie Blaylock.
I'm Heather Crawford. We're glad you're with us. First tonight, we want to take a look at our half-hour headlines. Tonight, 2 Clay County Sheriff's deputies are recovering after being attacked by dogs in Middleburg last night. Deputies responded to a reported disturbance and gunfire on Foxtail Avenue when one dog attacked a deputy, seriously injuring him. That deputy, police say, shot and killed the dog. The sheriff's office says the suspect, Michelle Rigney, then charged at deputies and made threats. As officers took her into custody, another dog bit a second deputy and Rigney. Rigney was arrested, charged with resisting law enforcement.
Brand new surveillance video shows the moment of what the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office says was an attempted home invasion that led to a shooting. Investigators say 3 masked armed suspects forced their way into a man's home on Jacksonville's north side. The homeowner fired back, hitting one of the suspects. Now, both the victim and that suspect were injured, but the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office says 2 others took off, and they tonight are still on the run.
2 children from the same household who went to the emergency room at Baptist Health's main campus have been confirmed to have measles. The children visited the ER a week ago, last Friday, and they were treated and released that same day. Health officials say measles is highly contagious and it's spreading across the southeast with cases rising in nearby states. Symptoms include fever, cough, and a rash that spreads from the face downward. Officials stress that vaccination remains the best protection, and the health department is contacting anyone who is potentially exposed.
We're going to take you live right now to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's kind of dark, but just about maybe an hour and a half ago, we were looking at how pretty it looks right now, but that's just temporary because we know what's coming. This city, much of the country, will be impacted by a major winter storm. And today, dozens of JEA workers left Jacksonville before dawn or at dawn to make the 6-hour trek to Myrtle Beach ahead of that winter storm.
That's right. So they're anticipating extreme cold and potentially icy conditions across the Atlantic coast. And they're going there to help South Carolina's public utility with any outages that may arise from this winter storm. We spoke with a lineman who says that these types of storms actually can be more dangerous than hurricanes.
The weather forecast is calling for rain, probably turning into possibly ice. And if it does turn into ice, that can create a really big hazard. One we're not really used to down here in Florida. Like, I've worked on ice storms, and those ice storms can be really, really bad, and it can sometimes be worse than a hurricane.
JEA is one of 15 public utilities in Florida sending mutual aid crews to southeastern states.
Tonight, we're learning that FEMA is halting the layoffs of disaster workers whose contracts were set to expire soon. 2 sources say the looming storm was the main reason these jobs were paused, the job cuts as well. No word on how long it's going to be before the dismissals will resume. But sources say about 300 disaster workers were already let go this month.
Looking at the impacts from the storm here in Jacksonville, most of them are travel related. And according to the flight tracking website FlightAware, a handful of flights have already been delayed at the Jacksonville International Airport, but there have been no cancellations. Today, though, airport officials are urging anyone who's flying this weekend to make sure you double check with your flight, with your airline on your flight status, because there could be cancellations, there could be delays. Meteorologist Ross Muma is here now with a closer look at the impacts from this winter storm. Ross, when we just talk about how expansive it is, we're talking people and a lot of cities are going to be impacted by this winter weather.
Yeah, I mean, the winter weather advisories and watches and warnings expand nearly 2/3 of the country. You go the whole way from New Mexico all the way up to pretty much upper New England. Maine even having extreme cold warnings. Similar story up across the northern plains and upper Midwest and the Great Lakes region. We've got winter storm warnings from Oklahoma and Texas all the way to Pennsylvania. Even ice storm warnings that does include places like Atlanta, Greenville, even Charlotte, North Carolina included in that. So the snow, the ice, going to be big stories here. Many folks could see anywhere from 12 to even 18 inches of snow from Oklahoma City up toward Indianapolis and Lexington, Kentucky, all the way over to even near Philadelphia. So a lot of snow on the way for folks, but really the ice is the bigger deal. Once you get accumulating ice totals of anywhere from about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, then you have a lot of trees and the limbs coming down, bringing down power lines. The power lines themselves are all iced up, and that weight brings them down. So not then only are you dealing with all the travel disruptions, not only flying, but also driving, but then potentially widespread power outages. And that is certainly a possibility, especially for northeastern Georgia up towards Charlotte, Roanoke as well. So the event is already underway. It's already snowing across Oklahoma and Kansas, and this is going to be a pretty long duration event through the rest of the weekend. So we'll keep tabs on it, but here on the First Coast, thankfully, and luckily in our case, we don't have to deal with it. Cooler and overcast tomorrow. Big warm up though for your Sunday. We'll dive deeper into that weekend forecast here coming up, guys.
Thank you, Ross. A Canadian Olympic snowboarder and one of the FBI's most wanted is tonight in federal custody. Brand new video shows the plane carrying Ryan Wedding arriving in California. The 44-year-old is accused of playing a central role in an international cocaine trafficking operation. He was arrested in Mexico. The feds say he's responsible for transporting hundreds of kilos of cocaine from Colombia through Mexico to the U.S. and Canada. He's also accused of ordering several drug-related murders.
He's a modern-day El Chapo. He is a modern-day Pablo Escobar, and he thought he could evade justice. But these brave men and women put together a prosecution package, put together an investigative package, put together an operations strategy, and here we are today bringing him to justice for trafficking hundreds of kilos of cocaine and also for the murder of innocent civilians.
Wedding represented Canada in the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. An FBI spokesperson says he's being held in Los Angeles this weekend and then will have his first court appearance on Monday in federal court.
The U.S. has formally left the World Health Organization. This from an executive order President Trump signed on the first day of his second term in office, saying the U.S. would withdraw from the Global Health Organization within the year. A spokesperson for the WHO said members of its executive board would talk about how to handle the U.S. withdrawal at their next meeting, which is next month. Their director general said last week that this withdrawal would mean both the United States and the rest of the world would become less safe.
With supporters pointing to diminished public trust in vaccines and the healthcare system, a Florida Senate committee this week has approved a bill that would allow people injured by vaccines to sue drug manufacturers that advertise the products. The Senate Regulated Industries Committee voted 5-3 to approve the bill, which drew opposition from business and healthcare groups. The bill's sponsor, Erin Grahl, says childhood vaccination rates have decreased, and she thinks it's a trust issue. She pointed to the difficulty in holding vaccine manufacturers accountable for problems.
Vaccines have served an important public health purpose to eradicate disease, and this bill, I believe, is a step in rebuilding public trust for proven vaccines by holding manufacturers accountable.
I would feel uncomfortable with baby formula if the manufacturers of that formula had no liability if my baby was injured from that. It is not an unreasonable position for folks to be skeptical.
So opponents of the bill say that federal laws prevent the state from addressing such issues and that the proposal could violate the First Amendment. This bill comes amid widespread debate over vaccines, including Florida health officials now looking to do away with certain vaccination mandates for school-aged children.
NFL Conference Championship games are this weekend, and with the Jaguars out, which team are you rooting for now? Next, we're going to break down who the country as a whole wants to make it to the Super Bowl.
This weekend, we're going to find out which teams are going to be headed to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, it's not going to be our Jaguars, but we are taking a look ahead tonight to the NFC and AFC championships, and the country, well, it isn't really divided.
There's a company called Best Online. It looked at social media trends to see which team each state is rooting for. First, we'll look at the AFC. We can't root for the Jags. We keep saying that. We all know that, right? But most of the country, including Florida and Georgia, want the Denver Broncos to win on the AFC side. Only 9 states are pulling for the Patriots.
Yep, and in the NFC, most of the country, 34 states, are Seahawk green, as you see here. The rest, those in blue, 16 states want the Rams to win.
The championships are Sunday afternoon and night. Patriots and Broncos play at 3 in the afternoon.
And then that's followed by the Rams and Seahawks at 6:30. The winners will face each other in Super Bowl 60. Takes place in 2 weeks. You can watch it on NBC 12.
Lots of big sporting events to watch coming up. Our countdown to the 2026 Winter Olympics continues next. We'll tell you about a brand new sport making its debut. See if you think that you could even come close to doing it.
And we've got increasing clouds and just a few real light misty showers streaking their way across the first coast this evening. When we come back, though, we'll talk about when we could see not only some showers, but perhaps even a few isolated thunderstorms by the end of the weekend. Coming up. Well, if you have any Friday night plans, perhaps out on the town tonight, and you're going to be out late, just be mindful of the chance for some sea fog to develop out towards the beaches, and it's going to gradually work its way westward and inland here through the rest of this evening. So patchy to dense fog for most of us, but there will be some pockets where you see visibilities down to less than a mile, even less than a half mile in some instances. And this sea fog's really going to start to develop by about 8 to 9 p.m. tonight. And then, I mean, even by 11 o'clock, midnight, the east side of the 295 Beltway certainly could have some of that fog rolling in. The worst of it, though, is going to occur during the overnight period. So by the time you wake up, 7, 8, even 9 a.m. at the very, very latest, all that fog should have cleared out. So just something to be mindful of as you're waking up and heading out the door to start your weekend tomorrow. Otherwise, it's going to be a mild night. We're only cooling off into the low to mid 50s, and we're not going to warm up nearly as much as we did here today. We hit the mid 70s earlier this afternoon, low to mid 60s for your Saturday tomorrow. Big increase in cloud cover, so it's going to look like a bit of a gray and dreary day, primarily because we're going to have a pretty strong northeast wind, about 10 to 20 miles per hour, so that'll add an extra chill in the air, pull a lot of moisture and cloud cover off the Atlantic coast. But I mean, check out coastal southeastern Georgia there. upper 50s. You folks, you're going to need to have the sweatshirt and the hat on pretty much all day long. Certainly a chilly day for you. Low to mid 60s in and around that I-10 corridor in the Jacksonville area. And then further to the south you go, the less influence you have from that cool wind, perhaps even into the low to mid 70s down towards Gainesville. So a little bit of a chill in the air for your Saturday. Warming up quite a bit then, though, by your Sunday. Perhaps throwing a couple ribs out on the grill. Barbecue Bacon and Brews Fest down at the Clay County Fairgrounds this weekend. Looking pretty good for you both days, but Sunday will certainly be the warmer of the two. Southeastern Georgia, 70s for many of you, but pretty much from I-10 southward, we're going to be heating up into at least the low 80s, perhaps even the mid 80s in some locations. So a surge of warm air thanks to a pretty strong south and southwest wind just pumping in the heat. The morning may be a little bit overcast Sunday morning, but by the afternoon, I mean, the sun will be fully out. So a bit of a steamy day there to end the weekend. And then here comes the cold front that's associated with that big winter storm, bringing all the snow and ice off to our north. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with any of that, but we will have a line of storms that makes its way toward the first coast by pretty much after dinner time Sunday night. So scattered showers, isolated thunderstorms embedded within that line, reaching the northern Suwannee Valley and the Okefenokee between about 6 and 7 p.m. Sunday evening. We'll watch to see if any strong to severe storms develop. There's an isolated chance of perhaps a 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gust, but most folks won't see that. Really just going to be watching for some locally heavy rainfall in pockets. Now, the line itself likely reaches the 295 Beltway in the Jacksonville area just around midnight Sunday night. The good news, though, pretty much the majority of the rain clears out by that Monday morning commute. And then that cold air just surges back in behind the front, keeping our temperatures in the 50s for your Monday. Pretty cool, windy day. And then check out pretty much the rest of next week. Morning lows down in the 20s. So weather impact alert for your Tuesday morning. An inland hard freeze is very, very likely. And pretty much every single afternoon, we're going to be struggling to get out of the 50s there through Friday.
Thank you very much, Ross. The Olympic flame navigated the famed canals of Venice this week as we get closer to the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. Torchbearers carried the flame over the famous bridges of the floating city, and onlookers, they stood in line, they snapped pictures, they cheered for the torchbearers. The torch will continue to travel through Italy, leading up to the opening ceremony. And as we mentioned yesterday, the lead actors of the television series Heated Rivalry will be torchbearers on the final day of the relay, which is on February 6th.
A new Olympic sport is going to debut next month. It's called ski mountaineering, and it combines uphill sprinting and downhill skiing. Something to know about the sport, it's also called Skimo. It's fast, with sprint races lasting only about 3 minutes. Cameron Smith, who will compete for Team USA, explains how it works.
So the Skimo sprint race is 1 climb, 1 descent. You'll start off skinning up the mountain with your skis on, and then transition to boot packing. You put your skis on your back and you run up on your feet in a steep section. Put your skis back on, get to the top, transition your gear to downhill mode, and ski back down to the finish. And this all happens in 2.5 or 3 minutes.
So although it's new on the global stage, the sport has roots dating back to the late 19th century, when people would go backcountry skiing at resorts and make their own trails by climbing up the mountains and then skiing back down.
The Olympics begins in just over 2 weeks, and the Olympic host country of Italy is known for food and fashion and also fast cars. In our journey to Milan Cortina, our Scott Swan shows us one of the most iconic car brands in the world.
Ferrari is red. Ferrari is passion. Ferrari is Italy.
When you arrive in Maranello, Italy, the prancing horse is there to greet you. And when you step inside the Ferrari Museum, you're up close with automotive history.
They are masterpieces, and there is no real masterpiece. Each one is a single masterpiece.
Many of these masterpieces are worth millions. Cars that became legendary in F1, sports prototypes, GTs, and road cars, all of them created inside the Ferrari factory.
365 GTB4 engine, block.
We got a sense of the speed while riding in a Ferrari through the hills of Maranello.
Policy acceleration.
Driving a Ferrari is driving a dream, and it's the passion that is behind the cars.
How important is Ferrari to this city?
It's a part of our identity.
The mayor even has a Ferrari in City Hall.
This car is called Maranello.
When Enzo Ferrari chose Maranello for his factory in 1943, he needed workers. So he taught the farmers in this city how to make his car.
They prepared a book and they went to school, they attended the courses. From that moment, the destiny of Maranello changed completely.
Tens of thousands of people race to Maranello for the Ferrari experience.
The nice thing of this museum is there's no barrier absolutely between the car and the visitor.
The dream of an Italian car maker who built legendary cars. Many piloted by championship drivers.
I almost lost consciousness.
Speed and beauty. The prancing horse is still galloping.
As Enzo Ferrari used to say, which is always the nicest car? It's always the next. Being Italian is being Ferrari.
Makes you want to get in a car and drive. The opening ceremony for the Milan Cortina Olympics is Friday, February 6th, and you can watch it all right here on NBC 12.
Well, taking a live look right now at downtown Jacksonville's Friendship Fountain, a place where there's going to be a fun event going on there this weekend, one of many events downtown and across the First Coast. We'll fill you in on your weekend events coming up next. Well, the weekend is finally here, and there are plenty of fun things to do over the next few days.
And the first event we want to tell you about is tonight, and it's free. That's the good part. The City of Jacksonville's Movies in the Park is at Riverfront Plaza tonight. The free movie is Superman, and we know there are a lot of Superman movies out there. This one tonight came out last summer. It's that one. The movie starts in just a few minutes at 7 o'clock, but you can race on down there, and they say bring blankets and bring your chairs.
And taking a live look right now at the Friendship Fountain in downtown Jacksonville. Saturday Sounds happens tomorrow night there. You can go to the free event to hear lots of live local music. It's tomorrow night from 6 until 9.
And do you want a boat? Maybe you're dreaming of being in a boat. The Jacksonville Boat Show is happening right now. Our Terry Gilliam joins us now with a peek inside the boat show.
The 78th annual Jacksonville Boat Show is underway, and many people are expected to come downtown to the Prime Osborne Convention Center to check out what's new. In the Prime Osborne Convention Center in downtown Jacksonville, the 78th annual Jack's Boat Show is in full swing, and it will be here till January 25th. Doors are open, and this event has been bringing the boating community together since 1947. Inside, you'll see various kinds of boats, all new, and there will be a free fishing clinic for kids and more. And general admission for adults is $15, and for children ages 5 to 12, that cost is $5. In Jacksonville, I'm Terry Gilliam, First Coast News, on your side.
And in St. Johns County tomorrow, you can enjoy a free silent disco taking place at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. This event is celebrating the library system's 22nd annual St. John's Reads One Book, One Community program. This year's book was An Immense World by Ed Yong. The music during the silent disco will be inspired by the book. The family session is tomorrow night from 6 to 7:30. That's followed by an adults-only session from 8 to 9:30.
And let's give you one final look at that 7-day forecast. Overcast, cool, breezy tomorrow. Temperature stuck in the 60s for Jacksonville. Big change, though, by